red lights are on. PBS Brakes Hot Hatch Championship is getting underway then, and it's a good start from Dan Brown from Pole. Some better starts from a few further backs, where they're sort of 3 and 4 abreast perhaps in places.
Talbot squeezing up the right-hand side, isn't he, in the Integra?
Yeah, he's alongside Scott Smith.
He's arrived 4th, I think.
Ashton's about 6th or 7th, so he's made another good start in the Metro, but it is Brown that leads Polly. And then for 3rd position, Talbot is trying to get alongside Sylvester now. They're will-to-will, the Integra and the Civic. And then, yeah, the Metro's something like 6th, so Jack Ashton's made a super start. Paget's ahead of Drinkwater in Class C there, we can see. So David Drinkwater's not had a good start today. He's a side-by-side with Ivor Mares in another of the Class C cars. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on. There is 122, which is Shaker Vanner in a Clio. Will Self behind from the back. He must have passed about half the grid already, which is quite some effort. So they come down towards the hairpin. So look out for that Peugeot 205 34. There's a bit hanging off it, so I don't think it's been uneventful for Will Self. He's passed so many cars, Marcus.
Yeah, that's right. He's a rapid driver, Will Self. We see him quite a bit at Castle Combe and as well. And that Peugeot is a bit of a rocket ship. It's certainly going very well right now. And watch for the red. It's the red Peugeot, isn't it, the Will Self, making his way up the order. There he is, right behind. That's one of the 197s. That might be Argeus, I think.
Yeah, the driver who's just a point behind in the championship battle, behind Martin Paget as the field come through.
It's pretty frantic, isn't it, all the way down the order?
You're absolutely right. There's Nick Haynes and the only Ford Fiesta on the grid. Hopefully see some more of those out as time goes on. Here's our Class B battle. The two Clios are side by side, and Mandapira is ahead of David Walsh, yesterday's winner. So 69 Matthew Mandapira to the front in Class B, which has gone pretty well for him. Ben Morton's way back, the Integra that started on the second row, 67, is behind Will Self. And there's our two Class C leaders together. Martin Paget just ahead of David Drinkwater and Ivor Mares as well, just behind. The top 3 in Class C all together. But the Class A cars, they're making their way towards the end of the lap. So it's hard to know which of the class battles to look for. But Dan Brown for the overall lead is well ahead. So he's made a good opening lap. But Polly, Sylvester and Talbot all together. The Integra's got lots of straight line speed. He brakes earlier though, does Kevin Talbot. Decided not to go down the inside of Sylvester. Dan Brown leads. His mate though, Will Self, has got to top 10 already. He's 10th from the back of the grid. So he's passed more than 20 cars on that opening lap.
Ashton 11th to 6th. That's impressive. Eye-catching drive from Jack Ashton and that sort of Princess Diana purple Mini Metro.
We'll see whether he can. No, the Fiesta's off. I think that's pulled off at Coram. Thumbs up from driver Nick. So I think he's all right. Just a car issue. So racing can continue for the rest. But 1.6 seconds is Dan Brown's lead over the battle for second place, which is headed by Ryan Polly still, but Dan Sylvester chasing him as they go down towards Hamilton. And hopefully we'll pick up on that in a moment, with Kevin Talbot also involved in that dice. But Nick Haynes there out of the car in his Ford Fiesta. So let's have a look at some of the battle. There's the Honda CRX for the teenager, Archie Stiant. And it's great to have another model on the grid. And one car arrives backwards, which is far from ideal, which is 5, which is Neil Frost. There's Ivor Mares as Frost gets back going. So Ivor Mares, who's 3rd in Class C, we just got a glimpse of in the Taylor Yates car. He's got Drinkwater ahead of him. So where's Martin Paget in all of this? Has he managed to escape? Quite possibly. And Stiant can't get much closer to the back of Ivor Mares' car.
Ivor Mares is doing brilliantly in that car, isn't he, to get near Drinkwater. I mean, Ivor's a very good driver. I mean, he raced in Formula Ford for years. The man from Coleraine in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, so here they come down towards the S's. Yeah, the Saxo's ahead. That's Paget. He's now got a couple of Class B cars between himself and Drinkwater, so he's going to try and use them to put a bit of space between him. There's Mares, the ex-Formula Ford man. In this compact, it's got a 2.5 litre engine, so a bigger engine than Drinkwater's has got, but that means it's heavier, which equalises out with that power to weight ratio formula that we're using Hot Hatch to C2.
Gone off 43, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, Chris Woods, who was involved in the incident yesterday, was making good progress. It's back on the circuit though after some grass tracking. There's Drinkwater, who we were just talking about, but these two Clios are just hampering his progress towards the back of Martin Paget. And where's Ivan Mayer's gone? He's lost a couple of places, so he's not quite with Drinkwater as he once was. For the lead of the race, Dan Brown is 3 seconds ahead of Ryan Polly now. Dan Sylvester is third, Kevin Talbot is fourth, still Scott Smith and Jack Ashton complete the top 6. As Ivan Mayers continues on, but yeah, he's a bit further behind Drinkwater now, but Drinkwater's coming under threat from Styant in the Honda, and he gets through as well, so that's now 3 cars between himself and Martin Paget. Paget, who's only won a couple of times in Class C this season, which came at once at Donington and once at Brands Hatch. But he's got a chance for a third win today, I think, because Drinkwater is struggling amongst some of the powerful cars.
Yeah, that's right. He's stuck in that little tussle between Styant and the Honda. Ahead of him is Jason Brough. And that was a tap down the inside as Styant came past Brough, caught his front corner as he did so. And Drinkwater's gone off across the nose. He got on the grass on the inside and he's nosed into the barrier. Oh, that's the trouble of being mired in the centre of... he's got a big ding in the driver's door. You're mired in the centre of the pack. In the danger area, and that looks like it might not go much further because he's got bits hanging off it.
He was just telling me this morning how he needed to keep out of trouble today.
And you can see that the Honda's been bingled at the front where it clobbered the Clio.
Yeah, obviously a much experienced driver there, the CRX man, which is Archie Styant in his first meeting. So Martin Paget's got a big lead in Class C now, but David Drinkwater, it's all gone very wrong in this car that's had so many racing miles over the last few years. It's won the Burkitt a couple of times. For second place, there's a change going up towards Ritchie's. It's pretty much side by side, but Dan Sylvester's got through into second, so he's finally passed Polly. But in all of that, he's now best part of 5 seconds behind the leader. So Ivan Mayers will be second in C now, Class C, ahead of Callum Perfect, another championship contender. Callum Perfect, who's only 9 points behind Martin Paget. There's the Class B battle across the line, the 2 Clios heading up towards the first corner. It's 69. Matthew Mandapira ahead of 21, yesterday's winner David Walsh. So we're going to have a look at that now, I think. It's good to be able to have a look at these class battles, which sometimes we don't get to focus on. So there's 69, Mandapira, the Class B leader. He's also kind of in championship contender, although he's 8th in the championship. He's only 20 points behind, which is only just over a race win. So it's something that can come back towards him as the season concludes. He's ahead of David Walsh, who made his hot hatch debut yesterday. But Mandapira is ahead, and Stuart Kennedy third in the class. Joel Ogaias fourth. So again, he's not progressing this weekend. Whether that's ill effects from the incident he had at Cadwell, not sure, but Matthew Mandapira's car certainly going better this weekend and ahead of David Walsh.
Yes, they're running down in 12th and 13th places. Stuart Kennedy's next, then Joel Argaeus. Then it will be Shay Kavanagh behind them, and Charlie Hayes.
Now Charlie Hayes in a compact but with a 2.8 litre engine, so therefore fits into Class B.
It's not the former Can-Am racer Charlie Hayes, by the way. Both the 91710 turbo Porsche.
Big weave there for Mandapira, which is interesting, but he's still ahead of David Walsh. So they bounce their way over the curbs.
Yeah, tenuously.
Brown, the leader, goes through. Sylvester chasing with the fastest lap. So now he's clear of Polly. Sylvester's done the fastest lap, but he's 4.2 seconds back. They've done 4 laps. They did 7 yesterday, so 3 to go it should be. Jack Ashton's up to 5th, so the Metro speed is keeping up this time, which it didn't manage yesterday.
Yeah, Mandapira is having to work very, very hard to repel Walsh.
There's Ashton on our screens through Ritchie's, with Scott Smith behind. So this is the battle for 5th place.
Corner's very flat, the Ashton Metro, doesn't it? Which is some impressive suspension tuning.
Yeah, I expect they've done quite a lot of work on that since they ran it originally in this specification, because they run the 1400 cc's, I think, in the Metro Championship, which he raced in previously with his brother Andrew. Brother Paul as well, I think, raced in the championship before that. But now Jack, I think he fancied a different challenge. And it's only a challenge to get this Metro to go as quickly as this. Potentially other types of cars coming into the championship in the future. We heard a couple of weeks ago about a Renault Clio that's looking to have a V6 engine put into it from a Megane for next year. So we look forward to sort of see who can take on the Hondas, because it is Honda dominated.
It's going to become hotter, Hatch. If that happens.
Also got the Peugeot of Will Self as well, so there are people trying something different. And somebody's lost a bit of bodywork, so Doug, one of our start line marshals, is going to retrieve that. As Self is 7th now, I think. He's got past Tate Taverner by the looks of it in the background. Wonder if that's the bit of bumper that was trailing Will Self's Peugeot that's now let go, that has been retrieved. So we're going to have a lap to go at the end of this, I think. 2 laps to go at the end of this even. And can Dan Sylvester catch Dan Brown? Sylvester across the line. And he's into the 9s, just like he was yesterday. 300 slower than yesterday, a 2:09.94. And the gap is 3.6 seconds. He was, 6 tenths quicker than Brown. It needs to be a bit of a bigger gain than that. Brown he had 2 wheels sort of on the grass as he turned into the hairpin, which isn't really
not conducive to getting round it.
But he's using as much of the road as he dares. Now, if we lost Tate Taverner, he's dropped a couple of places, so he's behind Will Self and Ben Morton. He's dropped to 9th. There's Sylvester then in the chase. Dan Sylvester, who's also racing a Porsche Boxster today and a Audi RS3. There's Kevin Talbot, 4th. So he hasn't made so much progress this time, but that's to be expected now. He's against the quickest drivers. But there's Brown, who's on a full turn of form, because the start of the season didn't go that well. He had 4ths and 5ths and 8ths early in the season, and now he had a couple of wins, I think, at Mallory Park, and then he's won the 3 races since. So a real change in the middle part of the season for him.
I wonder what's turned the tide with that car, why it's suddenly really performing well now. What they've changed on it, or whether it just found a sweet spot in the handling.
Here's the Clio battle for the Class B win. It's still Matthew Mandapira ahead. They're battling for 12th overall, but a class win. And it's David Walsh chasing in 21. Left-hander at Hamilton. That takes you down towards Oggies. Oh, big moment for Walsh, but he's carried pretty good speed down towards the next corner, which is the right-hander at Oggies. Mandapira, though, is still ahead. So this has been a good defensive drive from him, because David Walsh maybe a little bit quicker. He was yesterday.
I think Drinkwater is running 7th in Class C by the looks of things.
It's still going.
Yeah.
He just did a personal best lap, didn't he, looking at that? So he's got pace, but it's not what he would have wanted. This is the 3rd, I think, in Class B, the Corrado of Stuart Kennedy. As the 2 class leaders are side by side, as David Walsh looks to the inside of Matthew Mandapira. They are wheel to wheels. They turn into the right-hander at Nelson. Mandapira's got the better line. And they still have a lap to go at the end of this. The leaders have started their last lap. Sylvester set a new lap record now, a 2:09.86. It's less than 3 seconds behind the leader. But this Class B battle is going to go all the way, Marcus.
Yeah, there's some light damage on the side of David Walsh's car. That might have been legacy of yesterday, for all I know. But these two are pretty much inseparable all around the circuit. But that was a very good challenge launched into Brundle by David Walsh.
Yeah, let's see if he can make the move. I think he only started racing last year. He raced in the Clio Sport Championship last season, where we have about half a grid of these 197s. I think they're at Silverstone next week, part of another 750 Motor Club meeting. Here comes David Walsh. He can't quite get there into Ritchie. So I think Walsh's car probably is in Clio Sport specification, where Matthew Mandapira has tuned his to hot hatch Class B spec. But that's the whole point of these categories, where you can modify the cars as you wish to a pretty open rule set, but they have to fit into the power to weight ratio band. There's Kennedy.
Like the old Corrado, they're wonderful handling cars. I had one on the road for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was Stuart Kennedy in the Corrado, still battling with Joel Gaez, who's a Spaniard, I think. He does a lot, I think he probably lives in the UK, does a lot of racing here. So there's Mandapira still ahead. in that battle, which is going to go right to the line. We saw what Walsh was able to attack up to Brundle a lap ago, so I'm sure he'll try to do the same this time. Meanwhile, the checkered flag being prepared because Dan Brown is making his way into the final corner. He's got a car to lap, but Sylvester's not far away now, but he's obviously not going to be close enough to challenge with so little of the race to go. It was a good chase though. Dan Brown then will take 4 wins in a row in the PBS Brakes Hot Hats Championship. His victory margin though, only 1.1 seconds at the flag, so Sylvester half the gap on the last lap.